Hello there, it's just Fiona. Okay, so I have a tiny bit of fabric here. I know I want a bigger bit of fabric, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a tiny tote bag. Yeah, suitable for my lunch. Okay, I'm going to put a zip on it. I'm not going to line it, I'm just going to sew a flappy zip in. And what I'm then going to do is, with acrylic paint, dun dun dun, hello, we might as well keep the hedgehog theme, mightn't we? I'm going to outline a little hedgehog. So on the dark fabric, what we're then going to see is literally just the top of him. So we won't see the bottom, we'll just see that. And fading in, fading out. Okay, I can't describe it, but that's what we're going to see. And that's going to be on the front panel. And it's going to be an acrylic paint, and we are going to leave it to dry for 24 hours after I finish sewing it. And then I'm going to put it through the washing machine. So, I know, so don't get too attached to it. You might not survive. No, I've done it before and I know it's going to be fine. So it's going to be just a simple little outline of a hedgehog on a very simple tote bag, and you can take the information from this video and do what you like with it. You know, you might want the tote bag, or you might want to paint a hedgehog. Okay, anyway, I'm waffling. Let's get sewing. Oh, I don't know why I'm going to switch the camera off for that. Yes, it's done by magic. Okay, so what I need first of all, and this is not a rectangle, by the way, is I need to make the handles. Now, it's always a good idea to have an idea of what you're going to use the bag for, or the garment, anything, before you make it. Now, this bag is for a sandwich. Yeah, when I go to work, I don't take my handbag in. If I'm going shopping afterwards, then I'll take a card, or if I'm only going to take a little bit of small change into work. This is nothing to do with anything. Yeah, I know, it's just once bitten, twice shy, I suppose. So there we go. That's how long my handles are going to be, because that's how much fabric I have. They're going on the side, and we'll do those probably next. And I need the actual body of the bag, so that's perfect. And you know, if it suddenly looks iron to you, this bag, then that's because I've suddenly ironed it. I know, I'm a monster. And all I'm going to do is a rectangle for the main body. So I folded this over, and let's get that straight. Now, what I need to do is I'm going to fold over the top so that I've strengthened it. And then I'm going to have one bit of fabric holding the zip on one of these sides, so that this is sewn in. And then on the other side, it'll be sewn in as well. So I need these two sort of rectangle grabby bits. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what they're called. Extensions to make the bag wider. Now, okay, you can sew this on your sewing machine. Don't think you can't. Just because I'm going to sew it on my overlocker doesn't mean a thing. It just means that if I don't use my overlocker once a month, it sulks. So there we go. I've got everything I need. And I'm also just going to sew my corners so that I've got little feet. Alright, what do I want to do first? I might as well do my handles first. So I'm going to do a little bit on this sewing machine, and then I'm going to do a little bit on that sewing machine, and then I'm going to do a little bit on this sewing machine, and then I'm going to wash it. Okay, so first of all, we are going to do the handles. Now this is nice fabric, so we can pull it down and form a crease. And then we can fold it open again, fold in one side, fold in the other, push that down. I'm sorry my hands are filthy, it's because I've been painting. And it's one of those things, when you first start painting, you can't cope. And then after a couple of years, you don't care. So that's all I've done. And you can see, because of it's a canvas, it's holding its shape quite well. So I can literally, now that I've done that, just sew along this seam. Now, yeah, it's a bad habit of mine about my bobbin thread. Sorry about that. Now, if I was working with a bit more of a difficult fabric, what I would do is I would fold it in half, and then I would sew around the outside, and then I would, with the use of a knitting needle, I would push it round the right way. Or I could blah 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 blah, yeah, use a bit of string. There's all sorts of tips, you know, but it is if you can sew it in one hit, then it's a lot quicker. Obviously it just depends on the fabric. So I just give it enough so it's got a grip under the teeth, and then literally all I'm doing is opening out again, and then yeah, I tend to use my foot of my machine as secure as I can. Now, I need to just take a hem on the ends of these. I don't need to take a hem on the either side. One side's going to be sewn in and one side's going to be overlocked onto the zip. But I do need these ends just done. And I could just do them in the overlocker and just do that as a seam. But it's really up to you. This is my personal bag, so I don't know, I think I do tend to. It's not that I pay attention more to my own personal things. It's that if I was making a video for a present for somebody, I would get too, I would just make mistakes. I would get too unfocused, so I wouldn't even attempt to do anything complicated. So, but as it's for myself, then if it goes wrong, it's not a problem, is it? It's just different. It's just it's a Fiona thing, obviously. So yeah, that's all I'm doing. I'm wasting time, wasting cotton, really. And yeah, I'm just going to do the other one so that it is done. And then I am going to quickly get my other machine out. All right, thank you. Hiya. Okay, testing the machine. It's a happy machine. Alrighty, so let's get all my bits together. What I need to do is I need to have the right side to the right side of the zip. Obviously, if sewing with a sewing machine you have to be respectful of the zip, then sewing with an overlocker you have to be even more so. So let's just take it slow. What I'm doing is I'm placing this under there. I've got my two right sides together. I'm going to go along till it's going to be 3/4 of the way so that I can sew down. And then I am going to stop the machine before I get to the needles, or the foot actually, and then I can lift up my foot, and then I can close the zip head. So yeah, I know, as you do on a sewing machine, just carefully with an overlocker, because I'm quite happy to fix my sewing machine. I can do most things, but fixing my overlocker, oh, I know, rather pathetic. So I'm looking at that going, what's that? That's my test sew piece. So we've got that. Now my other one goes right side down again, and I'm going to do them, I'm going to line them up. So let's get the sewing machine going again. Now you don't need to cut it, you just need it close enough so that it's out of the way, so you're picking it up with the stitches. And then again, when I've got enough room to move my foot to the back, my zip head, I will lift up my foot and give it a go. So yeah, I know, overly complicated. And then I'm going to finish sewing. So that's that done. Now, my bag is pretty much a square. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew around the folded side as well. I always like to do that. I just think that sometimes if you just leave it on a fold, then you don't get the same sort of angles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew onto this so that I don't have to waste too much cotton or pull anything out. And because if I keep on sewing, then I'm going to pull it up to there. So yes, and you can't really do a curve on an overlocker. You're just best off accepting it and just doing sewing off and sewing on. So I'm just going to make sure that it hasn't slipped. Although, you know, we've decided this is nice cloth to sew. And then I can sew onto my scrap bit of cloth as well, which I've got over here, and then I can sew on again. So yes, if I'm doing a big project, you'll see me with a tiny pile of little squares, and that's just so I can sew off and sew on again without too much of a problem. Because if it takes you half an hour to re-thread your serger, then it takes you quite a long time, really. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just double check my fold on there. I can even put a pin in there if I feel like it. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got all the bits of my cloth and I'm sewing away. Okay. Now, I said I'd do corners, didn't I? Alright, so I've got a choice now. I've pretty much finished with this. I shouldn't have done that, should I? And let's see. So I've got my bag there. I need to sew in my zip and tuck that in. And to do little corners so that it pleats out, which would be a good idea. I don't want it to look like a money sack or anything, is I would do a little stitchy long there. Yeah, now I can do them with the overlocker, which is easy enough. What I've got is I've got my corner, and I'm going to push it in, and then I've got it in my hand there, and then I can take it inside out, and you can see it's like a little toe. And then when I've got the other one out, I can separate them, and I've got a little toe again. Now, okay, so here we go. I've got my two bottom corners, so I've got my two little toes, and I have pins, and it's quite important that these match up. They don't need to be big actually, but they do need to be the same. They really do. Tricks of the trade, you can do one, place it over the top. So anyway, I've got my pins so I know that they're level. I've got my serger raring to go. I'm going to line up my pin with my cutter so that I can see all my angles are straight. I'm going to take my pin out and I'm going to sew. Okay, okay. Alright, so that's the pin method. I'm just going to take this out of the sewing machine and then I can sew on again. Now, because I lined it up, what I can do is get rid of that so I can see, is I can line it up with the cutter and my pin again, or I can line up my old one and cut it again. Okay, does that make sense? So if I literally lie that there, then that would be the same. And if I lie that straight, then I've got a couple of guidelines as well. So yes, I know I love my overlocker. Yeah, it's all very well today because I've got a whole day in front of me. But I think the thing is, unless you've got some way of keeping it out, then you don't keep it out. So if you're planning on buying one, yeah. Okay, so there we are with my little feet. I am now going to go and sew on my handle. So I'm getting rid of the overlocker. And I've got my sewing machine back. I have it inside out. What I now need to do is I have one of these folds and I have my zip. I need my zip on the outside, so I am going to place that right side down so that it is turning round the right side. So there we are. And then when it's inside out, that'll be up the top there. And all I need to do is I need to make sure I'm not catching the back, so that's pulled right down. And I need to fold in this flap. And while I'm folding it in, I need to catch in that. I'm going to go with flap. I'm sorry, I can't think of a better word. So I folded that in. I've got my flap. It's straight line. If I can do it all in one ring, then it'll keep it nice and tidy. What I have to make sure is that I don't catch my back. So, yes, I know. And obviously it's still canvas, so I can lie it flat and it's going to stay there. Okay, so let's check that I've actually caught that. Okay, so I have done that side. Alright, now we know that we didn't give ourselves any hem allowance or anything on these, so I'm just going to fold it up and sew it to the seam, making sure that everything's where it should be. And now I've come up to the other side, which is nice and tricky. So, the other side needs to literally pull over the top, and then I'm going to tuck that in. And this bit I'm going to push out of the way ready. So, yes, I know it's not the easiest way, and I did think about doing it actually beforehand so that we could get it in. So yes, I've just got that out of the way and ready to go, and folding that up. And I'm going to take it from the actual seam. So so that I've got that nice stark white line. Okay, again with the tucking, and once everything's in position, literally just sewing along. Okay. So, next job, I'm going to put the bag the right way round now, and I'm going to come back to that. So you can see basically that I've got my line of stitches, and then there's my zip. So I'm going to do it off the camera. I'm going to do it tidy, and then I've got my feet. And what I'm going to do is before I get ready to paint it, is my handles, the first bit we sewed. I know sometimes I go, oh, where did they come from? But that's life, isn't it? So all I'm going to do is, you can mark this with a pin as well so that you get them even, is fold it so that it's the ends are covered, and then I'm going to literally sew a straight line. I'm going to leave the needle down, and then I'm going to come back to that. But yes, so yes, I should have pinned it, shouldn't I, really? There we go. So we've got the seam. If we fold the two seams together, and then we mark with a pin either end, so that we know the pins are in the centre, and then we can mark where we think the handles, so another 4 pins, and then we've got marks where the handles can go. So, alright, well, I'm going to tidy this up, and then I'm going to come back with everything pinned and everything, and then we're going to be ready for the last stage. Yes, come back in a minute. Hello there. Oh, throat's got a bit, woo. Okay, so I'm just sewing on the last handle, and I think I made rather a hash of putting that zip in. The easiest way is turn it the right side round, pin it and sew it. Really easy. Yes, so I can only apologise for that, but yeah, oh well, we live and learn, we live and learn. So that's the handle sewn on. Okay, I'm just going to make sure, oh no, one more to go. I was going to say, I'll just make sure that that pin's out. That pin was there for a reason. So, lovely. So I've done my Zs. I've done Zs rather than crosses. And I have my little tote bag ready for work. Okay. Now I have here somewhere a huge pile of scrap paper. So this is printing paper, but what you need is, you need to make sure that it doesn't seep through. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting paper in between the bag. Yeah, this is just so that it doesn't seep through. When you're painting with acrylic, you're going to need a lot more paint than you would if you were painting on a canvas. Lovely. So yes, mainly white, and then I'm going to highlight it with some cerise and cinnamon. I don't know what it's called anyway, bright blue. So, but yeah, these are just highlights, and it is just a simple thing. And I've got some silver just because I I can't use it in a picture, can I? I love it though. I got a huge packet of it, selection of all sorts of colours. So yes, good idea just to get your paintbrush working. So we have the basic design, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to paint on, and remember this is just a hedgehog highlight, and then he's going to have a very intelligent little nose sticking up there. So give him a bit of colour there. Not a lot. Okay, so a couple of pink highlights there. Are we kind of in shot, aren't we? Okay. Now what I've got is I've got white on most of my brush, but I've got pink on the edge so that I can do that kind of nice little highlight thing. And now a little bit of blue, mainly on a white brush. So yes, our highlighted hedgehog. I'm just going to do a couple more sweeps so I can get a bit of silver in there, just because I got it out of the palette. And then I might as well do the lot actually. So yeah, apparently it's the only time I'm quiet is when I'm painting, and I know when I'm annoying my husband and my son is they go, you haven't painted anything for a while, and then I know I'm in trouble. So yeah, could be worse, they could be sending me into the kitchen to cook or something. So yes. Okay, so what we have here is a tiny little hedgehog. I know. Let's see if I can enlarge him. I think I probably can without ruining him too much, so I'll just make him a bit bigger. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't mean to, I meant just to do that, but yeah. And yes, if you are going to paint on canvas, make sure that you've got it backed because it's going to seep through, and make sure, or just accept that you're going to use loads and loads of paint. Okay, so yes, not exactly what I wanted, but you know, it has this advantage that now I can put it in the pile and nobody can go, no, but that's mine, because there's no way in the world anyone else in the world will have a little hedgehog bag. Okay, one of the advantages of just enlarging him was that I could give him a black eye. I wanted it just to stand out. There we go. So, my little guy. I'm going to re-highlight him. Yeah, I suppose what I could have done is maybe gone for a letter or something so that you could really tell that that washing it on a wash is not going to damage him too much. So, but the important thing is that he dries first. He's got to fully dry before anything can happen, and that may take 24 hours. It's Saturday morning at the minute, so what I'll do is when I do the second half of this, I will tell you exactly how long I have given him before he's allowed out again. Okay, Corky. Okay. Yes. Cheat slightly. I'm going to give him some better spikes, so what I've done is turn him over because I've already got paint on my hands and I don't want it on the bag, so yeah, and it means I can lean my hand down, so it's all good. So yes, I know. The next time you see this bag, it will be crumpled up into a ball because I'm going to put it through the washing machine. Alright, thank you ever so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Hello there. Okay, so 24 hours to dry. It's got to be dry, and it's quite hard to tell because you have to use so much more paint than you would if you were just doing it on a rendered canvas. And yeah, you know, I knew he'd survive, but it's still a delight to know that he has survived, and in fact that the bag survived. And I was expecting it to come out in a completely crunched little ball, and it's been okay, so it just needs to dry now. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.